What's up, YouTube? This is Two Raw Forward TV. So before I get into this video, I do want to say this, just to show that I'm not a complete total asshole. I am glad that the incident that occurred today at the Biden residence in Delaware was innocent and benign. In case you know what I'm talking about, there was an uncleared aircraft or airplane that flew over the vicinity of the Biden residence. As we all know, at least we should know this, uh, wherever the president is located, Air Force One in the air, or when he's at a residence. Uh, for instance, Nixon, when he was in San Clemente or Key Biscayne, Florida, aircraft people, private, personal aircraft, are not allowed to be in that vicinity. Uh, that happened today. So that called for an emergency to see whether this was a threat or not, and it was not. Now, I'm not certain of this. Maybe it's different since he became president, but I do know I read that when Joe Biden was vice president, he was notorious for pissing off the Secret Service because he was Private Joe. You know, he's the man of the people he liked to portray himself as. So he did not like to have as much security, Secret Service around him. He liked for them to be at a distance. So, that causes some problems. They can't really, it's harder for them to do their job if you only have, say, five Secret Service agents on location and the other 25 or so are not allowed to be within a 2 mile radius, as opposed to just having the Secret Service do their goddamn job. You know, but I'm speculating. I don't know if that was the case or not, but I do already had a history of doing that. But that's not why I'm here today. I want to talk about another poll which shows the continuing deterioration and erosion of African American support for the Biden administration. And anybody that's known me since I was a child, ever since I was maybe 9, 10 years old, reading about the history of both parties, reading how racist both parties were. But I could not understand for the life of me, even back then, why we were so beholden to the Democratic Party from a historical standpoint. But then I got it as I got older. I got that, the generation from the 60s onward were beholden to the Democratic Party because of, civil rights legislation. That generation, I get that. But the problem is, ever since the 90s, that generation has been dying out. Lyndon Johnson's been dead for almost 50 years. Hubert Humphrey's been dead since 1978. Robert Kennedy since 68. Uh, that Eugene McCarthy's been dead for what, over 15 years. So what I'm getting at is those individuals who were of that generation leadership that really cared or at least showed some initiative, they're gone. The people who run the Democratic Party now are beholden to everything and everybody else except for us. They don't give a fuck about us. Um, they're beholden to Wall Street. Many of the Democrats today are former Republicans who no longer fit in the more right wing extremist Republican Party that exists today. So many of them are either independents or they've moved over to the Democratic Party. But a lot of them, Elizabeth Warren, for instance, used to be Republican. A lot of current Democrats used to be Republican. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised, you know, within 10 to 15 years, a politician like Larry Hogan might identify as a conservative Democrat, of being condescending and not outright respect black community, black leadership. And the Biden administration has done absolutely nothing, has kept none of their promises. And I think people like me and people like, LB and Town Biz and others who get on these platforms that we have and we talk about, what it is that bothers us about our allegiance to this party. And look, I'm not saying that we should vote for the opposition. That's not the answer. But what is not the answer is this lesser of two evils mindset that we have. It's like either choosing to drink shit or swallow poison. One is going to kill you. The other one is the most unpleasant thing that you can think of to do. May not kill you initially, but it's a slow death. The toxin, not to mention the extraordinarily foul taste. You get what I'm saying with this? So what's the point? I think we should, look, it's never going to happen. Hopefully, as generations come, the mindset will change and we will be more politically involved. We will be less brainwashed into thinking that we have to vote one party or that we have to vote at all when we get nothing for our vote. But this poll is interesting. These polls I've been seeing recently. Um, Back in March, I saw a poll that said that 69% of black voters approved of Joe Biden's performance in office. That sounds high, but it's not. Considering that we generally vote 85% to 95% for the Democratic Party or Democratic candidate, it's not very high. Usually support in the black community is 80% plus. So 69% is very low. Then I saw another poll 2 weeks later that had it at 68%. So this poll I saw in the Washington Post today put the black support in the Biden administration down to 60%, with 37% disapproving. Disapproving. Now let's just say, for instance, Biden only got 60% of the black vote in 2024. If Biden only got 60% of the black vote, which is not the same, just because you disapprove doesn't mean you're not going to vote for him. But if he only got 60% of the black vote, that would be the lowest percentage for a Democratic candidate in a presidential election, I believe, since Adlai Stevenson in 1956. Adlai Stevenson, who lost in a landslide to General Eisenhower. And he was not noted for being a civil rights icon. And this is a guy who had 4 years earlier, Adlai Stevenson, he had a known segregationist as his running mate, um, trying to think, John J. Sparkman of Alabama. So this was a whole different time period. It does give me some hope that people like myself and people with larger platforms than myself, we're finally starting to get through to some people that when you look at the meat and potatoes, you look at the rising gas prices, you look at how the average man in this country, the average man and woman, and I'm not even trying to make it a race thing in this video. I'm talking about all of us who are not part of the elite 5% or the super elite 1% or special interest groups. Those of us who are regular people, we ain't getting shit. We don't have, for instance, us African Americans, we don't have a specific hate crime bill. You don't have these things. It's funny, the day of the shooting in Uvalde, Texas, if I'm not mistaken, or shortly thereafter, the Biden administration, and I'm not trying to disparage Asians, I'm not doing that, but there was another anti-Asian uh, hate crime bill uh, being discussed, and you had a Asian pop group talking about anti-Asian hate. They just passed an anti-Jewish hate crime bill into law. Already have anti-LGBT hate crime bills that have been passed into law. A prior anti-Asian hate crime bill passed into law. But when we ask for an anti-black uh, hate crime bill, it's like we're talking a different language. But every 2 and 4 years they come by and they want to ask us to give us their votes because they're fighting for us. They're fighting for us tooth and nail. They're fighting for us, right? And when you look at the big picture, rent's going up. Where I live at, rent in Richmond has gone up almost 40% since 2012. 2012. That's going back to about the Obama administration. And you see the rise in homelessness. And you see on the right, because they're not the answer either, them passing laws criminalizing trespassing if you're homeless. That's probably cheap. So on the right, they're trying to take away your right to vote. Because I do it voting on the local level, where your vote and your presence and your voice is more effective. They want to take away your right to vote. On the left, they take your vote for granted. So I say to you, why throw your vote away and vote for someone who doesn't give a fuck about your situation? It makes no sense. It makes no sense whatsoever. So what we need, I think, is to withdraw from both parties, decompress a little bit, strategize, and play kingmaker. By that I mean whoever, whichever party, even if it's a minor party, actually talks about the things that are tangible to us as a people, then we come and vote for them. Or at least we negotiate. This is what politics is about. It's not voting for somebody that make you feel good. It's not voting for somebody that you don't want to drink a beer with and all this debunk bullshit. We've been bamboozled for too long. And we've been bamboozled for far too long. We're going to make a liar out of Lyndon Johnson who said he was going to have us niggers voting for years. Let's cut it to 50 or 60. You know what I'm saying? But one thing that bothers me more than anything else is the deflection tactics that are coming from people that look like us, but they're beholden to these special interest groups or these corrupt parties. They try to silence our voices, uh, take us off of these platforms. At the end of the day, all I want is just to see us wake up as a people. That's all. I don't think we should be. I'm never going to be on here for the most part advertising you vote for a candidate or anything like that. I just want people to understand what's going on, and it just really hurts me to see how we're so used. We've been so used and brainwashed by this particular party. It bothers the hell out of me. We know the enemy that we see, but we don't see the enemy that's right next to us who's even more dangerous. Because we think collectively that they're our friend, and they're not. And Malcolm X warned about this, the liberal, or the supposed liberal. But anyway, tell me what you guys think.